If you think beauty is pain, wait until you hear what medieval women endured just to be called beautiful. Imagine boiling lead to make lipstick. Imagine sleeping with wooden boards digging into your skull, not by accident, but by choice. Tonight, we travel back to a time when beauty could kill you, and often did. Welcome to the Dark Ages, where perfection demanded blood, bone, and madness. And mercury. The chemicals burned the flesh, cracked the skin, and caused blindness in extreme cases. Yet they continued day after day, believing the pale glow brought them closer to divinity. High foreheads were in vogue. Women plucked their hairlines and even burned the roots with candle wax to push their hair back. Eyebrows were removed entirely. Portraits of queens from the era showed elongated faces, wide foreheads, and hollow eyes, haunting reminders of the lengths women went to satisfy fashion. Hair color was another battlefield. Dark hair was seen as common and undesirable. To achieve the golden angel look, women used lye, vinegar, and even pigeon droppings, leaving it under the sun for hours. The smell was unbearable, the burns intense, yet the golden glow was worth it. Venetian courtesans popularized this trend, and soon noble women across Europe followed suit. Body shape was equally tortured. Corsets, stiffened with whalebone or iron, reshaped ribs and internal organs. Fainting became fashionable, a sign of fragility and elegance. Women practiced extreme fasting or even swallowed stones to appear delicate. But physical pain was severe. Breathing was difficult. Organs shifted permanently. But in the courts of France and Burgundy, a swooning woman was considered the epitome of beauty. Even perfumes and cosmetics were dangerous. Lead-coated leather masks promised smooth skin. Arsenic-laced powders brightened the complexion. Cinnabar created deep red lips. Yet all of these were toxic, causing hallucinations, burns, and often death. Church leaders warned that vanity invited demons, but still the rituals continued. Women were caught in a deadly balance. Be beautiful, but not too beautiful, or risk accusations of witchcraft.
Queens endured these horrors in ways that were both public and secret. Elizabeth of York, later mother of Henry VIII, was famed for her moonlit pallor. The Venetian ceruse she applied to maintain her whiteness slowly poisoned her over years. Her daughter-in-law, Elizabeth I, would later suffer similarly, wearing layers of lead powder that cracked her skin and blackened her teeth, all to maintain the illusion of perfection. Hair bleaching, perfumes, and lit pigments continued to push the limits of human endurance. Golden hair was achieved through hazardous chemical treatments. Perfume was often arsenic-based. Lipstick could burn lips and poison the user. These practices were dangerous, painful, and sometimes fatal. Yet women continued, compelled by societal pressure and the lure of influence. Alchemists profited from these obsessions, selling potions, powders, and ointments, claiming to purify the body and soul. Women drank vinegar infusions, crushed pearls, and mineral powders, knowing the potential side effects, but trusting in the promise of beauty. Even as beauty became a weapon, it was also a trap. Noble women like Isabella of Castile and Catherine de' Medici wielded cosmetics for diplomacy and power. Lead-based powders concealed assassination attempts. Perfumes masked the scent of poison. The allure of beauty became a subtle instrument of survival in male-dominated courts. Yet, in times of plague, famine, and war, beauty itself could condemn a woman. Those with flawless skin or unusual features were accused of witchcraft. The Malleus Maleficarum, the infamous hammer of witches, claimed that women bewitched men through their painted faces and red lips. Thousands suffered or died, their only crime being their appearance. The medieval obsession with beauty was brutal, merciless, and intoxicating. Pain, poison, fainting, and deformity were all considered the cost of perfection. And yet, women endured it, surviving, plotting, and occasionally thriving despite the dangers that surrounded them.
The obsession with pale skin was not limited to England. Across Europe, in France, Italy, and the Holy Roman Empire, noble women developed extreme rituals to maintain their ghostly appearance. In Paris, wealthy women soaked their hands and faces in vinegar and lead powders, believing that the skin would remain soft and unblemished. They carried small flasks of fragrant oils to mask the stench of decay that often accompanied these chemicals. It wasn't just about color. Smoothness of skin became an indicator of virtue. The slightest freckle or sunspot could ruin a woman's marriage prospects. Mothers taught daughters from a young age to avoid the sun, to wash frequently in cold water, and to rub powdered minerals into the skin, minerals that often contained arsenic or mercury. Chroniclers wrote that some girls fainted from chemical burns but continued the ritual, understanding it as an investment in their future. In Venice, courtesans and noblewomen shared secret recipes for hair bleaching. Saffron, lye, and pigeon droppings were common ingredients. Women would leave their hair under the hot sun for hours, the fumes stinging eyes and nostrils. Some fainted mid-process, yet the result, shimmering golden hair, was worth the suffering. Venetian portraits from the era capture these women with halos of hair, glowing under candlelight, as if angels had descended onto the canals. Lip color was another dangerous pursuit. To achieve the ideal red, women used cinnabar, a mercury compound, or crushed insects to produce crimson pigment. Lips burned, cracked, and often developed sores. Still, the red hue was symbolic, vitality, youth, and a controlled form of seduction. Church leaders denounced it as sinful, yet fashion persisted, transcending morality. Corsetry had become a science of torment by the 16th century. Laced tightly with whalebone or steel, corsets reshaped the body painfully. Women's ribs cracked, organs shifted, and breathing became a skillful exercise of control. Fainting spells were celebrated. Delicate women were admired for their fragility. Portraits of European nobility often show impossibly thin waists and elongated torsos, a testament to the suffering endured to meet aesthetic standards. Even perfumes were dangerous. Many scents contained arsenic, mercury, and turpentine, inhaled daily in small doses. Some women fainted, others hallucinated, and some died. Yet perfume was essential. It masked odors caused by lead creams, sweat, and a lack of hygiene. Fragrance became a symbol of refinement, status, and control of one's own environment, even if it carried risk. Beyond the personal, beauty became a political weapon. Queens and noblewomen leveraged cosmetics to influence diplomacy and politics. Catherine de' Medici in France used lead-based powders to hide her age, giving the illusion of eternal youth, while managing complex court intrigues. Perfumes and scented gloves masked the preparation of poisons. The illusion of perfection was a tool, a strategy, and sometimes a weapon of survival.
Even witch trials in the 15th and 16th centuries were deeply connected to beauty. Women who appeared too perfect were often accused of supernatural practices. The Malleus Maleficarum warned that women bewitched men through painted faces, red lips, and golden hair. Thousands were executed, tortured, or publicly shamed, their beauty seen as evidence of evil. But not all beauty rituals were imposed solely by men. Some women used them strategically. They learned the power of allure, the ability to command attention, and even the subtle advantage of survival through appearance. A perfect face, a fainting spell, or a sweet scent could secure marriages, court favor, or political alliances. In a world of limited opportunities, beauty became both a curse and a shield. The records of the time are chilling. Diaries describe fainting during meals, nosebleeds from excessive powders, hair loss from chemical treatments, and burns from lead creams. Letters recount daughters being warned of the dangers of sun exposure and instructed to pluck every hairline meticulously. Chroniclers marveled at how women endured months of pain, disfigurement, and even near-death experiences, all in the pursuit of an ideal that often did not even exist naturally. Even royalty were not immune. Elizabeth of York, mother of Henry VII, spent hours daily applying lead-based creams. Elizabeth I, centuries later, layered powders, painted lips, and used toxic cosmetics to maintain a pale, flawless appearance, all while governing a kingdom. Portraits immortalized their beauty, but beneath the paint, their bodies suffered silently. Teeth blackened from mercury, skin cracked, and hair fell in clumps. Yet the public saw only perfection.
As Europe moved into the Renaissance, beauty evolved into a precise and often lethal science. Women no longer relied solely on natural remedies. They experimented with chemicals, minerals, and even poisons to create the ideal appearance. Diaries from the period reveal the private agonies endured for perfection. A Venetian noblewoman named Lucrezia di Rossi wrote in 1504, "Each day I bathe my face in lead-infused cream. The burn is constant, yet I see the perfection forming beneath. My eyes sting, my skin peels, yet I must persist. To falter is to be forgotten." Mercury and lead were staples in every courtly cosmetic kit. They whitened skin, hid blemishes, and even reduced fine lines, at the cost of health. Fainting, hair loss, and early death were common, yet women persisted. The belief that beauty equaled virtue and power outweighed the physical suffering. Hair rituals reached terrifying extremes. Italian women, inspired by artistic depictions of angels, sought celestial gold hair. They coated their locks in urine, lye, and powdered saffron, leaving it under the scorching sun for hours. Some women lost hair permanently. Others developed severe scalp burns. Yet in portraits and ballrooms, the resulting luminous hair was considered worth the pain. Even lips were weapons. Deep red was the color of vitality, youth, and seduction. To achieve it, women crushed insects, used cinnabar, or combined toxic metals. Some diaries recount ulcers, seeping sores, and infections, yet lipstick remained indispensable. Church authorities condemned these practices, calling them temptations from the devil. Still, the allure persisted, and women continued the rituals in secret. Corsetry advanced into a form of bodily engineering. Young girls were bound from early adolescence, their spines gradually reshaped to meet courtly ideals. By adulthood, many women's torsos were permanently deformed. Breathing, digestion, and mobility were compromised, but elegance demanded it. Fainting became a cultural performance, celebrated as delicate femininity. Perfume, too, was an art of danger. Oils laced with arsenic or mercury were applied liberally, masking the stench of lead creams and sweating bodies. Some women hallucinated
or fell unconscious from prolonged exposure. Yet these scents became symbolic, markers of refinement, nobility, and status. They defined who was powerful and who was common. Queens harnessed beauty strategically. Catherine de' Medici famously used cosmetics and perfumes to manipulate court politics. Lead powder hid age, while perfumed gloves concealed the preparation of poisons. Her beauty was armor, weapon, and survival strategy. In the same way, Elizabeth I's powdered visage allowed her to govern a kingdom while maintaining the illusion of youthful perfection. Witch trials reveal the dark consequences of beauty. In the late 15th and 16th centuries, women with unusually flawless skin, golden hair, or seductive charm were often accused of sorcery. The Malleus Maleficarum explicitly warned that women bewitched men with red lips and painted faces. Thousands were tortured or executed for their appearance, their beauty seen as proof of evil influence. Beyond politics, beauty was a personal battlefield. Mothers instructed daughters from an early age: avoid sunlight, pluck hair meticulously, apply dangerous creams, and maintain a controlled posture. Diaries describe fainting during meals, burns on the scalp, ulcers from pigments, and hair falling in clumps. Yet women endured, knowing these sacrifices could secure marriage, social status, or survival in a dangerous world. Some women became pioneers in experimental beauty. Venetian alchemists created powders from crushed pearls, gold, and other minerals. These were marketed as miracles of youth, yet often caused chronic poisoning. Women drank elixirs to whiten blood and enhance complexion, risking their health for societal ideals. Even in death, beauty persisted. Embalming, powdered face masks, and carefully maintained hairstyles allowed the appearance of perfection to outlive the body. Portraits immortalized this effort, hiding the agony that accompanied it. Pain, fainting, deformity, and slow poisoning became invisible under layers of powder, silk, and artistry. By the end of the Renaissance, it was clear: beauty had become both a weapon and a cage. Women endured tremendous suffering, yet gained influence, attention, and survival. It was a cruel bargain, one that history continues to remember, not for the agony, but for the flawless faces left behind.
Centuries have passed since medieval women plucked, poisoned, and burned themselves in the pursuit of perfection. Yet their echoes linger. Mirrors today are kinder, cosmetics safer, and sunlight no longer a sin, but the desire to be admired, to be perfect, to be seen, remains. Those women endured unimaginable pain. They fainted, burned, poisoned themselves, lost hair and teeth, deformed their bodies, all in the hope of being considered beautiful. Queens and commoners alike played the same perilous game, guided by fashion, faith, and the judgment of society. And yet, despite the suffering, they triumphed in a way. Their beauty became immortal, preserved in paintings, poetry, and the whispered stories of history. Portraits captured not just their faces, but their power, their influence, and their determination. The pain was invisible to most, but it was real, pervasive, and inescapable. So tonight, when you look in the mirror, remember them. The women who endured slow poison, chemical burns, suffocating corsets, and societal judgment, all for an ideal that often did not exist. They lived in a world where beauty could kill, and sometimes it did. And perhaps that is the real horror and the lasting lesson. Beauty has always carried a price. Once it was measured in blood, lead, and pain. Now it is measured in comparison, expectation, and the endless pursuit of perfection. Sleep well tonight,
and let your reflection be gentle, unlike the mirrors of the past.